Yes, Egan.
We go home, I'm gonna take a break, so
If we get, yeah, I'll agree with that.
I will ask you. Hey, as long as, but what is it? What is it?
Hey, did early voting start today? Barbara, next week. Does early voting start today? Early voting started today. Oh, it is today. I was thinking next week. Hey, you didn't make an announcement. Early voting started today. You do that. I got the prayer.
Boy, you and I last Tuesday.
You're next.
What's on, if we go long,
I do it when I
starts
get
getting into
late.
it. We're heading 2 hours, maybe a short break. Some people recess to.
I gotta, yeah, no, I'm going to, I want to get me some.
Okay, just checking. I think so. That's okay.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Well, I'll talk to you. Calm down. She'll sit back. She ain't gonna sit back there. Okay.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Commissioners Court. This is your October 23rd meeting in 2023. This is our 10 a.m. version of regular Lavaca County Commissioners Court. And with that, we will start with the confirmation roll call. Precinct 1.
Here.
Precinct 2.
Here.
Precinct 3.
Here.
Precinct 4.
Present.
The judge is here, so all 5 of us are back in action. Good to have y'all back. Some were missing in action. We'll officially call this meeting to order, and we'll start with our invocation. I'm going to ask Mr. Kenny Ziegel if he will give please our invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask for your presence in this meeting today as we conduct the business of the people we are blessed to represent. I pray that we will be effective, decisive, and productive. Give us the wisdom and strength to put our plans in action and achieve success. Let our actions in this meeting be valuable to those whom we serve. And also we pray for a safe and successful election and to watch over all that are involved. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Now our pledges. I pledge All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Ziegel, Commissioner, for that wonderful prayer. Before we get started, do we have any announcements? I think I know I have at least one announcement, but let's start with Ms. Deborah Sefcik. If you have an announcement you want to make.
All right, thank you, Judge. I'm Deborah Sefcik, your tax assessor collector. I just want to make the announcement that our 2023 tax statements are being mailed today. Yes, there's been a delay, but thanks to your legislature, there have been so many things that had to be put in place before tax statements could even be mailed. But I just wanted to point that out, let you know. We certainly take payments online. That's my website, www.lavacacountytax.com. Call our office if you need to, 361-798-3601 for any questions. I know the question's going to come up. Well, I didn't get my tax statement until the end of October. Do I still get my discount? No, I'm afraid not. If you do not have your mail postmarked by the 31st of October, then you will not get that discount, and so forth. Of course, November, you still have a 2%. October is a 3% still, but just get your mail, get your money put in the mail by the 31st postmark, and we will accept that. Otherwise, it'll be in November, and so forth. So I want to thank you for your patience, but we are going to get this ball rolling at the tax office.
All right. She says that with a smile. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. I've got a few more announcements. Again, things are happening real time, but early voting starts today, so we want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. The early voting started today at the annex. We've had some changes at the elections office, and we'll discuss that as we go forward today. But we're in good hands, and Tina Hudson and Brandy Stuckey are doing a wonderful job, and they're ready to roll in that direction. So we're in good hands. Lastly, just so the court is aware, Friday was a huge day for us here. We got what I would call our first official cyber attack that launched on us. Hacked into an employee's email and got out to the rest of us, and so we were dealing with that on Friday as we had court proceedings. We had everything else going on under the sun, so Friday was hectic, but I think we fared pretty well. I don't think we've got anything major out of that attack, but nothing was able to penetrate, but we were attacked, so leave it at that. Any other announcements of the court? Glad to see everyone back. I know we have vacations and everything else. Good to see everyone back.
It's good to be here,
Good to be here too. Good to be here.
Good to see you, Edward.
All right. With that, we will start off with our action agenda item. Number 1, presentation of the Lavaca County Annual Financial Report for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2022 by KM&L Certified Public Accountants. Are they here today? He is here. All right. We have no attachment to this, correct?
Yes, we have this. We have limited here, limited.
We got one attachment, okay.
We
All
got
right. I did not have one.
We got here, you okay?
No, I'm good. We'll just hear what he has to say. I don't have the document. I just want to hear, we can listen, then we can always go back and read it.
He's
No, we're good, we're good.
gonna say turn the page and you need to see it.
Okay. Anyway, would you state your name for the court and welcome?
Good morning. Thank you, Judge. Wade Whitlow, partner with KM&L. This is our first year performing the audit for the county, and everything went about as smooth as it can go in year one. There's a lot of learning curve, but from the county to us and from us to the county, so it's a two-way learning curve there. But the results of the audit within this report are all positive results. There's 3 letters within this. I'll kind of guide you all through a little bit of the report. Don't worry, I'm not going word for word in here. But after this first tab, you'll see the financial section. Then you'll see our letterhead up top, the independent auditor's report. This is our opinion on the financial statements.
You don't need it?
I can go off.
I don't want you to say something that's not.
I can go off the top of my head. Thank you. So this is our report on the financial statements. So within this report, we're issuing an unmodified opinion. That's a clean opinion that tells the readers of the financial statements that what they read after this letter is materially and factually correct. The other 2 letters are past this last blue tab in the back. It's under the federal and state awards section. I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit and then touch on a few points within the numbers itself. So our first letter is our report on internal control over financial reporting.
What page is that on?
It's after that 5th blue tab.
Oh, this blue tab.
There it is. Next page.
That's it?
Well, nope.
No, it's not, or maybe there's another blue tab, there it is. Okay. Got it.
So this is our report on internal control over financial reporting. So what we do as auditors, our approach is a risk-based approach. We go out and we evaluate the control environment and all the internal controls that are in place in the county. We walk through transactions at the various collection points throughout the county, at the various departments. We do transactional testing. And through this process of evaluating the control environment, if we identify any deficiencies in internal control, we will report those within this letter. This letter is a clean letter. We did not identify any deficiencies that rose to the level that needed to be included within this letter. Our third letter within this report is on the next page, and this is our opinion on each of the major programs for the federal and state single audit. So for this year, we were required to perform a compliance audit over federal programs and state programs. Each of those thresholds were met that would require a compliance audit to be performed. For federal programs, we had to test the ARPA funds, and on the state side, it was the County Transportation Infrastructure Fund at the state level. So both of those programs, we're issuing an unmodified opinion. So we didn't find any issues from a compliance standpoint that would alter our opinion or need to be disclosed in any sort of finding within this report. So that's a clean letter that we're issuing as well. Kind of going back towards the front of this report after this first blue tab, the first section of this report is the management's discussion and analysis. I always like to point this section out because it's it offers the readers a condensed version without as much accounting jargon within here that gives you the results and various items that happened throughout the county for the fiscal year ended. So this is a good overview. The further you go back into this report, the more it takes an accountant or Shana to understand it. We have 2 sets of financial statements in here. We have a government-wide financial statement, which is a full accrual financial, and then we have fund financial statements. The fund financial statements I place a little bit more value on because those are the reporting reflected within this report is more of how the county operates. On the full accrual basis of accounting, we're bringing in long-term debt, pension and OPEB related items, some fixed asset information, as well as a few other things. Within the general fund this year, the county ended up with a reserve of 8.4 million, and that was all unassigned fund balance. And overall, there was a positive change in fund balance of 2.1 million, and I'm looking at page 32. One of the changes this year within this report is we had to include the COVID Recovery Art Fund as a major fund. So in years past, or last year, it was in the back of this financial report with all the combining funds that didn't come to that came to the front in total. But this met thresholds to where we had to identify it as a major fund, so it's included singularly on this in the basic financial statements. From pages 42 to 76, these are the notes to the financial statements. So this puts a little bit more meat on the bone of the financial statements that precede it. It goes into the county's accounting policies and gives more in-depth information on all the various areas that are required to be disclosed. After the notes to the financial statements, we get into some required supplementary information and then just some supplementary information. So that's where a lot more detail by individual fund, budget and actuals are disclosed back here. The one thing I will say about the budgets is we don't have any issues from a reporting standpoint that I need to point out. But these budgets go into more detail as you go back, but there wasn't anything that I need to bring to the court's attention that where there was any kind of budget concern. So overall, the budgets look good from a reporting standpoint from where we view them.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
So overall, you're satisfied with the procedures and practices that we have in place?
Yeah, I mean, from a 30,000-foot view, everything's operating as intended. Now, when we get into the details of things and how things are doing, there's recommendations that we give to Shana and her office and to the various departments around the county, but that's not to say that there's an issue there. That's something that's a problem and it's causing an issue from a financial standpoint. None of those items rose to a level that would say, hey, we have an issue here. Typically it's trivial, but we have those discussions at that time to ensure that those trivial matters don't turn into something down the road. But those trivial matters we have through conversations with the various departments as they come up. Overall, we didn't see or find any issues during the conduct of our audit work.
Yeah, I noticed in your management statement there, or the recommendations, I didn't find them. Because I just perused it briefly, but did you make recommendations as to things that could be tightened up, or?
I did with Shana in her office, but that was more of in a verbal format. Those types of items wouldn't reach this report.
Okay.
If there was anything, those letters that I went over earlier, if there was something where, something came up that, hey, there's an issue that's very significant to the county, I would be required to include it in one of those letters back there to detail out exactly what's going on. But if it doesn't reach that severity, then I'm not going to put it in here. We have the option of issuing an advisory letter that's it's not required. But a lot of the things, especially in year one, was verbal, going back and forth just while we were gaining that understanding of the control environment. there was a lot of verbal recommendations and discussions that occurred throughout that time.
Okay. Thank you.
And I don't know, you want to fully present to us, and we can ask you some questions, or how do you?
Yeah, I mean, y'all can fire away whenever y'all have one.
Question?
So you can say we're looking very well as a county.
Yeah, from a financial standpoint, the county's in good health. You know, there's always things that, forward-looking from a financial perspective, that you have to plan and account for in the current environment. And from where I sit, the county's in a good position to ensure that y'all are maintaining fiscal responsibility from a financial standpoint with looking forward. There's plenty of reserve for any potential contingency-related items, whether it be natural disaster or whatever the case may be. So the county's positioned well from a financial standpoint for the future.
Thank you.
I attribute it to a very conservative court base. Getting these guys to spend money sometimes is not easy. So, anyway, thank you. Do you have any more questions or comments? Or this was just year one. This is y'all's first year to come audit us. What years did you cover when your audit?
2022, fiscal year 22. So I know 23 just wrapped up, and I've spoke to Shane already that once we get wrapped up with 22, we'll prepare an engagement letter. Once that's good, then we're going to dive right into 23.
So, and can you tell the court in prepping for the audit, did you look at prior years' audits in prepping for this, or how did you?
We did. So one of the things that we're required to do as a successor auditor is to communicate with the predecessor.
Okay.
And the predecessor auditor, my understanding is there was some health-related things that were happening. So I tried to be cognizant of the issues, you know, whatever he was dealing with, the previous auditor. But we were able to obtain some information to verify the beginning balances. With year one, we're required to almost make sure that the prior year balances were correct in a sense, and then start auditing this year's balances, since we're presenting comparative information within this report. So that's something that we're required to do and was done. There were a couple items that we had to restate within this report. We had to restate the fund balance in the COVID ARPA fund. Just the way that grants have to be accounted for, that's considered an advanced grant because the money comes up front and then it's spent down. Well, that money hasn't been, the money that was received hasn't been recognized as revenue because there aren't any eligible expenditures to offset that. Now, there's a time frame you'll have to do that. So instead of including it in the fund balance, it should be categorized as an unearned revenue that sits as a liability until those expenditures that are eligible under that grant are able to be recognized. So there's an offset between the assets or the cash and the liabilities and the unearned revenue. And then there was one other item in the government-wide, the full accrual financial statements. The historical commission fund was included. Well, that historical commission fund is considered a fiduciary fund to the county, where the county just is the custodian over the bank accounts. County holds the bank accounts on behalf of the historical commission. Well, anything that's fiduciary in nature is not the county's, so we had to remove those funds. Now, the historical commission still presented in here under the fiduciary funds. It's just not a part of the county funds when we combine everything together.
One of the things I think, I don't remember what day you were in the courthouse and we spoke about this issue. We had been to a TAC conference, specifically a breakout session that was geared towards mid-sized counties such as us. And we're labeled, Lavaca is considered a mid-sized county in Texas. There's lots of small counties and lots of large counties, but we're mid-sized. We talked about surplus funding or general fund balances, what we should maintain. TAC was arguing to us at this particular time that we should have 100% reserves, especially the closer you get to the Gulf Coast. You and I had a discussion that you didn't think it was quite 100%, and I'm kind of tended to agree with you, but do you have any kind of recommendation to the court?
Yeah, so with this question, it's always, well, whatever the county needs it to be. It's up
Yes.
to y'all. But with a mid-sized county, having more reserve would not be a bad thing, but then having too much reserve could be viewed negatively. The fair amount of reserve for the county, the things I would say to look at are if there's any future capital improvement needs. Is there a capital improvement plan, whether it be machinery and equipment or brick and mortar or whatever the case may be? With where the county sits from a debt standpoint, y'all don't have any bonds outstanding. There's a couple notes on some improvements and then a couple pieces of equipment, and that's it. So the reserves that are currently there, is there anything in the future from a capital improvement? Do you have a capital improvement plan? Things to substantiate the fund balance that's currently sitting there. Earlier when I said that the county's in good financial position to plan for the future, that there can be plans made, that's what I'm alluding to. If there's things in the future, whether it be from a growth standpoint or current or additional services to the citizens of this county, et cetera, the county's in a position to be able to do that. Now, that's where that plan comes into play. Y'all are, from my standpoint, y'all are positioned well for that.
Again, I think we're in a growth mode. We're one of the only counties, 7 counties in the Victoria Cog that's growing. We're set for growth. So I think we have to be prepared for that. But I do think, and I've talked to several commissioners one-on-one, is I think we're the generation of the court that's going to be more of the planning for the next phase of whatever happens to us. It's beyond our control. We can't control everything that's coming to us. So planning is key. But we keyed in on a conversation. I'm going to try to recall your conversation that you thought maybe 75% was more of an acceptable number to have of reserves. Being we're in this phase of the unknowns, we don't know what we need. We don't, I know that every county barn I've been to hasn't been touched since 1965 or something like that. They're pretty old, getting dilapidated barns. We may need to start improving those. We may need to start looking at future, what are we going to do for the next 20 years to sustain the county? And we might look at some of those projects, but you mentioned 75%. That's what I was going to.
Yeah,
get you.
and that 75% for a county of y'all size, that gives you 9 months. So if there's, the biggest thing in this part of the world is, a hurricane coming off the coast, and if it dumps 2 feet of rain up here, what's that going to do to the county? How's that going to impact the county? The response and doing what needs to be done from an emergency management standpoint, you don't want funding to be the reason why you can't do what needs to be done. And from where y'all are currently positioned, y'all are good from that standpoint. One thing you had mentioned, with growth, anytime you have growth is going to require that reserve. It's going to be hard to grow without having the reserves in place to sustain that growth until you catch the property tax revenue, et cetera, on the backside, because you're going to have to put that up front versus the revenues coming ahead of that. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well.
Thank you. Like I said, and again, not to be redundant, but I go back to the May 13th rain event, which is a standard rain event. River came up, flooded some low river water crossings, but it did $1.5 million worth of damages to your roadways. And we always have to have that fund for that, and had we got a rain the next day, it would have been triple that probably. It would have really washed everything out. So we have to have available funding for those repairs. No one's going to fund that for us. So anyway, thank you for your audit.
Yes, sir.
We look forward to working with you in the future.
And with the size of the report that we're issuing, as y'all have time to go through it and look through it, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, talk through anything that y'all have questions on. So,
Your name again?
Wade Whitlow.
Wade Whitlow.
Whitlow, yes, sir.
How do you spell your last name?
WHITLOW.
And which office are you out of?
The Lake Jackson
Lake Jackson.
office.
Well, Wade, we thank you for your time today. We appreciate anyone auditing. I mean, auditors are getting a short supply, but how many counties do y'all represent?
6 total.
6 total?
Yep.
And cities? You have cities as well?
Cities off the top of my head around 10 to 12, I believe.
Again, thank you, and we look forward to working with you. We appreciate your service to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you.
All right. This court session may be long today because we've got a lot of subject matter. And if it is, we may take a short break at like the 11 o'clock for stretch our legs or something, so we'll be ready. All right, do I hear a motion to accept the presentation as provided?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by precinct 3, second by precinct 4, to accept the presentation of the Lavaca County Annual Financial Report for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2022 by KM&L Certified Public Accountants. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, number 2, found on page 1, is 1 and 2 is the Sheriff's Office Activity Report for September 2023. Mr. Sheriff, Mike Harmon, you want to present? And that's found on page 1 and 2.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sheriff.
This report comes about as the Commissioners Court revamped the emergency management and the EMS. They came in and gave monthly updates and reports on how things were going. And in discussions with the county judge, he thought it good for transparency purposes that the Sheriff's Office give a report every month on some of our activities. So that's kind of how this came about. If you ask, well, you haven't done this in 19 years, why are you doing it now? Because the judge likes transparency. So,
Thank you.
I'm going to go over some figures with y'all and then take some questions if y'all have any. This is for September, our September report. There were a total of 30,338 miles driven by our office personnel. We used 1,766 gallons of fuel, which comes out to about a little over 17 miles to the gallon, which I think is pretty good for gas guzzling patrol vehicles. We responded to 592 calls for service, 176 traffic stops. We made 57 attempts to serve on civil process papers. 25 were actually delivered and served. Our favorite call to respond to, animals on the road, we had 60 of those. Traffic crashes with animals and whatnot, 19 assists to other agencies, which would be our police departments or DPS or game warden, whoever. So we responded to 19 of those assists other agencies. Transported 19 inmates from other counties here or from our county to TDC or whatever. We did 19 transports. Responded to 19 welfare checks, which is a family member calls and says, hey, I can't get a hold of my mother or whatever. I haven't talked to her in 2 days. She's not answering the phone. So we respond to those. There was 19 of those. And then 226 miscellaneous calls, which could be anything from a deer hung in a fence to some, object in the road, whatever. So just miscellaneous things that we responded to, 226. Conducted 83 security checks, which is either people out on vacation or businesses that have been having some security issues. They'll call us and want frequent checks, so we had 83 of those. 29 offense reports created, 7 were felony offenses, 15 were misdemeanors, and 7 were miscellaneous, Class C misdemeanors and whatnot. 17 of those cases were delivered to our county attorney's office for prosecution. The 7 felonies, 9 misdemeanors, and 1 juvenile case. As far as the jail, what's going on back there in the jail. We booked in 47 inmates into the jail. We served 3,397 meals. Average daily population for the month of September was 28.3. As of September 30th, our inmate count went up to 35. Out of that inmate count, 19 of them are unconvicted felons, which means they're felony offenses. They're put in jail for a felony, but they haven't gone to court or been convicted yet, so they're sitting in jail waiting to go to trial. And we have 3 parole violators, 1 convicted felon that was sentenced to the county jail, 1 that was sentenced to TDCJ, and we're waiting on a bed to get them transported, 2 convicted misdemeanors, 1 convicted Class C, 6 pretrial misdemeanors, which means just kind of like the unconvicted felon, they haven't been to trial yet, and 2 that we're holding for out of county. And today, this morning, our head count was 34 inmates. So that's kind of an overview of what's going on that was for the month of September. And if it's the court's wishes for us to do this every month, we'll be glad to do it. I think we'll put it on the last meeting of each month. And so if you all are good with that.
Sounds good with me.
Any questions or anything?
Good report, Sheriff. Thank you.
All right.
Well, the only question I have, I've taken 1 email or 2 emails about wild dogs. And I don't think we want to take it up today, but I don't know if y'all track how many people call for a wild dog or
We can look it up in our calls for service, how many, since there's no county animal control, then that does fall on the sheriff's office to do animal control. We run into a big problem with that because the county doesn't have a pound, a shelter. Sometimes if they're close enough to a municipality that has a shelter, they'll kind of help us out and take that dog until, or either one of your rescue facilities may take them, but a lot of times, these stray dogs just roam, and so.
there's also a feral cat problem in the city limit. That's the city limits of health.
That's
so
a city issue,
That's a city.
along with the pigeons.
Yeah. I see pages thrown out about anyway, another issue. But thank you for your report.
right.
I think the public has a right to know this, and I think it's good to know, especially if we get in a growth mode unexpectedly, we have to expand. We have to have this kind of data that backs it up.
Yes, sir. We're seeing a spike in our jail population again. We were fortunate for a pretty good while that we kept our numbers down in the 20s, but we're staying pretty steady in the 35 range now, and depending on if it's males or females, we run into some problems, and we have a good working relationship with our surrounding counties, and we can swap out inmates if whatever we need to do to fit the male-female ratio.
Well, thank you for this first report of this nature, but we look forward to others and maybe having some more discussions along the way. So,
All right, thank y'all for the
Thank you.
support, and go Astros.
Thank you, Sheriff.
all right. I hear a motion to accept the sheriff's
So moved.
report.
Second.
Motion made by Precinct 4, second by Precinct 3 to approve the Sheriff's Office activity report for September 2023. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That report is approved. Number 3, discuss and or approve certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Stephen Gautreaux, Stephen Gautreaux and Laura Price. That's out of Precinct 1, found on page 3.
Yes, Your Honor, this is a piece of property, 102 acres off of County Road 132, and it's being split into 2 tracts. One tract is 50 acres, which borders County Road 132. The other tract is 52 acres, which is right next to it, and it's being split. And it's along County Road 132, so it exempts them from subdivision regulations, but if in the future the land is split up, it goes back to the subdivision regulations.
Yes, sir.
So we can exempt this piece of property for now.
For now. All right.
So with that, I move that we approve a certificate of exemption for subdivision requirements for Stephen, how'd you pronounce their last name?
Galtro.
Gautreaux and Laura Price.
Motion made by precinct 1. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by precinct 2 to approve the certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Stephen Gautreaux and Laura Price. Any discussion? Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Number 4, discuss changes added on the approved certificate of exemption for Alvy Grace Farm and Ranch LLC, and that's out of precinct 2, found on page 7.
Yes, Your Honor. This is an exemption that was approved in July of 2022. It's a 100-acre tract, 108-acre tract that was divided into 5 tracts. It did meet the exemption requirements. This is just an adjustment of a boundary line. It meets the exemption. The fence was built off of the line, and so what they're doing here is adjusting the property boundary line to match the fence. And so it doesn't really require us just to acknowledge this. If there's any, again, as Commissioner Pruska mentioned, if there is any future subdivision or subdividing this property, then they will be subject to subdivision requirements. But at this point, this boundary adjustment would meet that exemption.
Okay.
So I move that we approve that.
Motion made by precinct 2,
Second.
second by precinct 1, to approve the changes added on the approved certificate of exemption for Alvy Grace Farm and Ranch LLC. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Item number 5, discuss and/or approve certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Joaquin's Cattle Company LLC. That's also out of precinct 2, found on page 10.
Yes, Your Honor. This particular subdivision, they're going to divide 24 acres into 2 tracts. It's in precinct 2. It's off of Farm to Market Road 532. So it does meet the requirements for subdivision exemption. It doesn't require us to provide any services or improvements to this property. So they are exempt, and again, in the future, if this is further divided, they will be subject to the subdivision requirements. So I move that we approve item 5 to
Second.
Okay, motion made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1 to approve the certificate of exemption from subdivision requirement for Joaquin's Cattle Company LLC. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Item number 6, discuss and approve certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Glenn Belusic. That's out of precinct 2.
Yes, sir. It seems to be precinct 2 day.
It is.
There's a lot of transactions going on in precinct 2. This is a brother and sister, Glenn Belusic and Susan Siptak. I can't even say the name. I apologize.
Siptak, I believe it's Siptak.
Siptak. Okay. This is a brother and sister who inherited property from their mother, and they're subdividing it. And I did speak with him this morning because upon reviewing the survey, the property is actually 144 acres, and he's aware of that. It's still plotted in the records office as being 140 acres, but they're subdividing it. There is, again, it's off of County Road 242, and there is no, they do meet the requirements for being exempted from the subdivision requirements for Lavaca County. And so I move that we approve item 6.
Second.
Motion made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1 to approve the certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Glenn Belusic. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. The only thing I would add on there was a discrepancy of the acreage, 140 or 144, but that's
Well, it's plus or minus.
plus or minus.
Plus or minus, yes.
Yeah,
sir.
it goes to the middle of the county road.
Okay, item number 7, that's found on page 18, discuss and approve the 2023 levy roll. That's brought to you by our tax assessor collector, found on page 18 of your packet.
Okay, Commissioner and Judge, just in front of you, you have the final roll report, and I do this every year as to put it on the agenda to show you what our levy.
One kind of microphone, just, sorry, if you don't mind, sorry. Just so that whoever's live, they can hear clearly what you're saying.
Okay, in front of you, you should have your final roll report, which I report on every year. For 2023, the county will have a levy of $16,493,013, which we should bring in if all taxes are paid. So that is my report.
Okay. With that, do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by precinct 4, second by precinct 3, to approve the 2023 levy roll brought to you by the tax assessor collector. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. For some reason, my pages are not showing up. Okay. All right, number 8, found on page 26, is a proclamation declaring November 2023 as National Hospice and Palliative
Palliative. Yes, sir.
Palliative Care Month. Palliative. That's found on page 26. Do we have anyone from hospice that is here today? I don't think they're here today, but that proclamation will read. And this is brought to you by Hospices of South Texas. This is National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, November 2023. The proclamation will read, whereas for more than 40 years, hospice has helped provide comfort and dignity to millions of people, allowing them to spend their final months at home surrounded by their loved ones. Whereas the hospice model involves an interdisciplinary, team-oriented approach to treatment, including expert medical care, quality symptom control, and comprehensive pain management as a foundation of care. Whereas beyond providing physical treatment, hospice attends to the patient's emotional, spiritual, and family needs and provides family services such as respite care and bereavement counseling. Whereas since its conception, the hospice benefits holistic approach has helped patients prepare for and face death and their loved ones carry on supported in the wake of it. Whereas palliative care improves quality of life and offers relief from pain, can be provided at any time during an illness, and hospices are some of the best providers of community-based palliative care. Whereas in an increasingly fragmented and broken healthcare system, hospice is one of the few sectors that demonstrates how healthcare can and should work at its best for its patients. Whereas 1.72 million Medicare beneficiaries living with life-limiting illness and their families receive care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States in 2020. Whereas hospice and palliative care organizations are advocates and educators about advanced care planning that helps individuals make decisions about the care they want. Whereas the central philosophy of hospice care puts patients first, ensuring a coordinated and person-centered approach to care, protecting patient choice and access to individualized services based on a patient's unique care needs and wishes. Whereas, given our universal mortality, hospice is a valuable benefit for all Americans and their loved ones. Now therefore be resolved that I, Keith Millett, County Judge, by virtue of the authority vested in me by Houseville, Lavaca, Texas, do hereby proclaim November 2023 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by precinct 3, second by precinct 4. Any other discussion on the subject?
Well,
I heard you.
well, no, I just said that any of us who've dealt with loved ones who were, near death, palliative just means that you're taking in the whole person. You're taking in every need of that person, not just treating their physical symptoms. And so It's an important part of the end-of-life care, and I appreciate you, Judge, and Commissioners Court recognizing this, and it's, hospice is an important piece of care for all of our citizens, so I'll just say that.
I agree, and I've had several grandparents that went through the hospice program, and it was just as beneficial for them as it was for us grandchildren and family members. So we thank the hospice people for serving us. So a motion made by precinct 3, seconded by precinct 4. Any other further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Okay. Number 9, and this is going to be unique. I'm happy to have them in our courtroom today. Discuss presentation for the Texas Film Commission to showcase the Moravia store for a Texas filming location. And this is brought to you by Precinct 2, by the way.
Absolutely.
Something's happening out of Precinct 2.
I know Precinct 2 doesn't get a lot of notoriety, but we have some notoriety in view of the Moravia store. It is an icon, a landmark, historical marker. It's a gathering point for the community. It's an important part of the community, and we appreciate you being here.
Spiritual building?
Yes, it is.
Spirits
Absolutely.
bill. Would you state your name for the court?
Good morning, my name is Bridget Harakaby. On behalf of myself and my mother Henrietta Phillip, who's the owner, and my sister Valerie Ling, and the Moravia store request the Commissioners Court to allow the Texas Film Commission to showcase the Moravia store as a great place for a perfect filming location. Moravia store is a true Texas gem. The historical bar and saloon are the time capsule to step back in time to indulge in an enjoyable recollection of history. The walls of this old school beer joint are adorned to the classic ambience of old beer signs and neon lights. There's an epic collection of old license plates and impression display of barbed wire. The shelves house collection of vintage beer bottles and old advertising relics that are important tools after Prohibition. Many dancers shuffle their feet across the old wooden dance floor. It is a choice venue to experience the best of polka and country music. On a sweltering day with a cold beer, patrons take the covered patio for air conditioning of a fresh breeze. Moravia store occupies the southeast corner of FM 957 and County Road 247 in Moravia, Lavaca County, Texas. For an authentic, enjoyable time, we will see you at the Moravia store for a cold beer, good music, and so much history that there's historical marker to prove it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what do we expect that may happen?
We are wanting to have a filming commission to come out and do a film at the Moravia store so everybody can, we were approached about it.
Okay.
We have a meeting on December 1st if we are approved
Okay.
from the Texas Film
Will
Commission
there
out of
be any
Austin.
need to close roads or anything like that?
I'm not for sure what's going to take place yet until we meet with them on December 1st. That's our next meeting,
I guess that's
Is
my,
it December, you said?
December 1st.
Bridget?
Is that when it's going to be held, that day? Or is
No,
that when-
that's when we have to go to Austin to a
Okay.
meeting.
And I'm not familiar with, and I don't mean to put you in a spot, but I'm not familiar with the Texas Film Commission. Is that,
It's out of Austin.
Okay.
And if we are approved, they would come out and see what part of the location that they would use. We're not for sure how much is going to be used, but we won't know until that day, so we meet with them, and
Okay.
then someone will come out and see what.
doing this? I think it's a unique opportunity, and I think it's, really fantastic that they're willing to do that and to take a look at it. So it brings, notoriety to the entire county.
Exactly.
And I think it's a really, really good thing. So I appreciate you, sharing this with us.
I guess my question for you is there anything that you need from the court of approval of some sort?
I know we just need a permit to be able to have this being done. Like I say, we have to meet with them on December 1st in Austin at another meeting with the Film Commission.
Okay.
And then they will come out and see what area is going to be used, or we won't know until that time comes.
Okay. So you'll just keep us posted. This is a
Yes,
first
we will.
meeting just to discuss it with us.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Okay, very good. Well, thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. We look
We
forward to it.
don't, do we need to prove?
There's nothing really to approve. I think this is just discussion, but she may need a letter from the judge
Yeah.
or something at some point, and we may come back for that presentation. Okay. And I'm not sure the permit,
Yeah, no, and I think just maybe like an acknowledgement letter, or something that's saying that the court, has received this and, is in agreement that this would be something that we should do.
Put that in the form of the motion.
Yes, sir. Okay.
who makes the motion? Where do you make the motion?
What you just said.
I make a motion that we
Support.
this effort, the Moravia store, with an acknowledgement letter and a letter of acceptance saying we are behind this, we approve of it, and we would like to see it happen. So anything we can do to help, we would do that. So, okay.
Motion
Doug?
made.
Sorry.
You must have something. County historian Doug Kubicek has something he wants to say.
Thank you, Judge and Court.
State your name for the court, sir.
Yeah, Doug Kubicek, Lavaca County Historical Commission. The only reason I want to say anything, and hey, thank you all for stepping up and making that connection, but the Texas Historical Film Commission, what that is like a booking agency for movies that are going to be made. And so what they're going to come in and do is film some stuff and do some stuff and see what legalities have to be addressed and things like that. And then they'll take that film clip of the store and put it out for movie companies that are looking for a site to film a movie at. And I can say, it might be a problem with the roads or something, but it's good for everybody involved in terms of how much money it's going to bring into the county as well as to the Moravia store and all constituents in that area. So it's a good thing. So I highly endorse that, yeah.
Well, you mentioned Texas Historical Film Commission. This says Texas Film Commission. Is there a difference?
No, it's the same thing, Texas Film Commission. I'm sorry, that's what I should have said.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm historical, yeah. Living in the past. Yeah, but it's the Texas Film Commission.
Historical Film Commission has John Wayne videos and things in their archives.
That's true, that's true. But I mean, it's the same thing, it's what got Smithville on the map when they did the movie Hope Floats.
And again, we can address whatever, if there's a permitting, it's something we need done, but we cannot speak for 957. FM 957 would be a state issue. That could trigger some things too, if
Right.
TxDOT gets involved and says,
Right.
Because I know parking out there sometimes on a Friday, Saturday night can get,
Backed up. But it's a good thing in the sense of they're going to come and see, look at all the issues that they're going to have to address to the movie companies of how, if they want to bring and it's an involved process to bring a movie set out to a place like that. Yeah, so, but it's a win-win situation, put it that way. Okay.
Wait a minute, Mr. Kubicek, if you have any control, could you ask for a full moon when they come over here?
Oh, that would be perfect. And we're going to get Mark Halata to come out and sing the song. That's it, right there. We've got it planned.
We got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
I see a lot of free press happening at this moment, but, all right, I think a motion was made by precinct 2,
Second.
seconded by precinct 1, what's the motion? What's that
Endorse.
motion?
Yeah, to endorse the
endorse.
issue letter of support
So, perfect timing.
to the Moravia store.
Motion made by precinct 2, seconded by precinct 1 to endorse letting the Texas Film Commission showcase the Moravia store for a Texas filming location, and we can work with them through our permitting office if they need any kind of permits or something, letter signed by the judge, is what we're asking. So, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Again, we have nothing to sign, we're just, the 5 of us agreeing to endorse. Okay, number 10, discuss and or approve current KBDI index for the county and reinstating the burn ban. I can hear the deflation happening now. Anyone from the fire department want to speak on the subject? Mr. Petro is here today, our chief spokesperson for the Fire Chiefs Association.
Well, I guess we'll just start off with the KBDI index. As of yesterday, Sunday, it was 518. They got a little rain in Hallisville area yesterday, so it jumped to 519 today. So it only went up 1 point because of the rainfall here in town. So, like I said, we're a mechanism for information, if you will, so it's ultimately up to the court. So I just wanted to, bring that before you guys and let you know what the KBDI index is. We have forecasted rains and cooler temperatures in the near future, so a little bit of a gamble one way or another, but ultimately, like I said, it's up to you guys, whatever y'all want to do.
All right. Well, I think the court originally stated back in July that anytime the KBDI index goes up over 500, we will put the burn ban in effect. I want to fully apologize to the fire departments and the fire chiefs for Friday. Friday was chaotic here. We didn't have enough time to get a notice out, or we would have done that. The judge's office would have done that. And then I decided I was not going to call a clerk back to come put that notice out. So, but we got through the weekend relatively okay. We had a little moisture.
Yeah, I think, I think assuming we're going to get rain later this week, we'll be okay. We did see an uptick in fires across the county. It's hard to put metrics to that or data to that because of everybody's been building everything for the last 90 days and they all burned it in one weekend. So it's hard to say if that, I don't think it's kind of non-typical, if you will. The amount of fires that were out there, you get on the horizon and look, and there were, at any point in time, there's 10 to 12 fires going in any direction you could look. So I think it's kind of non-typical. I think that'll slow down a little bit. Things we're going to have to look forward here in the near future are going to be, folks burning out of deer pasture and that kind of stuff. But I think that as well, once you get that initial rush through, those brush piles will be burning and it'll all slow down. Our biggest issue we've had is just those brush piles are unattended. It starts to come down and people just say, oh, it's not going anywhere, and they leave, and then they're calling us. Sometimes we get out there and have to put fire out, sometimes we don't. Somebody's just driving by and seeing smoke, and they're like, oh, we're under burn ban, and so they call sheriff's department. So it's more of a public information type thing at this point. I think with the cooler weather, I think we're going to be okay. But if we set that metric, I guess we got to stick with that metric until we go below it. So.
And I know there was some discussion. I released the burn ban on a Friday. I think it was 10 days ago or so. I saw an opportunity approaching that people were urging us all to burn because the conditions were right. And we saw a little 10-day window, 7 days. It was probably, knowing that we could release it, but it was going up. So we released it, but now we're going to, I want to make the nomination to,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to put the burn ban back on.
Okay. Now, Billy, everybody can still have an outside fire for barbecuing or whatnot, right? A small
Yes,
campfire?
sir. So campfires are, campfires are no-go unless used for religious, heating, or food preparation.
Okay.
So if you've got a campfire there and you're using it for putting, for cooking over,
Yeah.
you're good. If you're cold, you're good.
And is the burn barrel with a lid still?
Yes, sir.
Can
Yes,
you
household
still burn
trash.
in there? Okay.
The state says that if you don't have a countywide or you don't have a trash service, if you will, you can burn your trash. It needs to be in an approved container, which typically is a burn barrel with a lid on it with some type of screen over it so embers aren't flying
Our
out.
biggest thing is the ranchers with the feed sacks and that, they tire the bottom.
Exactly.
As long as they have a barrel with a lid on it or a screen.
That's
they ought
correct.
to be able to burn it.
Yes, sir.
Because I had a bunch of phone calls on that one.
Right. So just to jump back a little bit, go backwards a little bit on the KBDI index, like I said, we're at 519.62, and this is of this morning. The max is 658 in the dry parts of the county, and other parts of in the wettest part of the county is 2.7 or 270. So there's two.
It's quite a range.
Yes, it is. It's some parts of the county are wet, and the other parts of the county are really dry. So the 658 side of the county is getting to a point where it's a tinderbox, but the other side, it's almost saturated.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I think the average is important. Before we released the burn ban the other day, I called some area judges, and they had the similar experience, but they had more weighted averages to the high side, the 600s, 700s. Some people had got no rain at that point, but we were not in that predicament. We got a general rain that allowed us to take it off, but we saw that window, it was probably 10-day windows, and we're at 10 days, so.
right, so we have the counties on either side of us still under burn ban, and then Gonzales County, from what I understand, is going to go back under, is what the fire chief expects. He's not sure, but he expects that Gonzales County will go back
Okay. Well, that's-
under burn ban today.
In your opinion, we get a significant amount of rain, instead of burning right away, maybe give it a week?
Yes, that's, in our initial presentation, we talked about 2 weeks. I think we can move that to 1 week after the KBDI index dips below. We can probably, and it's in the fires, it's kind of a funny deal. You would think, let's burn now while everything's wet, but as soon as the ground dries off, it's still dry. So it's going to support growth, and grass will start growing again. So you give it a week, I think we'll be okay. But it's entirely up to the court. We're ready. And if y'all think it's safe, then.
Again, I like some of the automatic things. It does get us to thinking, fire ban, when it hits 500, we need to be thinking it, and it alerts our attention. So I like that part. What I told Michael Furr, he's not here today, was he was able to judge it was automatic. Y'all said it was going to be automatic, and I said, there is nothing automatic with county government. We just don't move that fast. It's tough, and we had a very rough day Friday. And again, I wanted to get to a point where, I couldn't if I wanted to put the ban on Friday, I didn't have the capacity to do it. You guys weren't even here, so I decided to wait till today to have a collective vote on the issue.
And I think no matter what, we get a significant amount of rain, we still need to call the sheriff's department, dispatch, and let them know, especially on brush piles. That'll save a lot of phone calls.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, communication is always good. I mean, the sheriff's department and the dispatchers are always, they're the guys there, and the emergency service is the first line of defense. So they're the guys that are getting beat up, no matter if it's good or bad, right? So I think calling the sheriff's department when you start any type of fire is a good
I
idea.
think maybe since we have a local radio station, maybe somebody send them to put the word out.
Sure, yeah, social media, all that. We get real severe, something we may even think about maybe the code red or something, saying the burn ban's on, the burn ban's off, because,
Right.
But one thing, and I spoke, before we released the ban, I spoke with the sheriff, and they'd like you to call the dispatcher office when you're going to burn brush. Is that correct, Sheriff? When someone's going to burn a brush pile or pasture, you want them to call the dispatcher's office.
Yes, if they're gonna have a control burn, we appreciate it if they call the sheriff's office and let the dispatch know. That way we don't pay out the fire department and get the volunteers off their jobs and run out there for a control burn.
And that's whether we're on a burn ban or not, you would appreciate that phone call? That's what I understand?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. If we're under a burn ban and they fall into one of the categories that's allowed for burning, they need to let us know that as well.
Correct.
But even if there's no burn ban, if someone's going to burn brush or have a controlled burn, let us know and stay there. Unattended fire is not a controlled burn.
No. That's something, I know Jimmy Apple's taking notes here, but that's the most important part of the equation is to save our fire departments an unnecessary trip out to call the 798-2121 and report what you're going to do and then stay there. Like I said, if no one's there, then that call is really getting in,
Right, and it's not only fire departments, it's even the sheriff's department. Typically they'll send a deputy out, so it's resources, county resources all across the county that are being used, unnecessarily.
And our fire department is volunteer, and that's they're taking away from productivity from some place of employment or.
And even if, we weren't all volunteers, still resources being used unnecessarily, so.
Yeah, please, the public, please call in those control burns over the, appreciate it.
The one thing I would want to add is, I like that when it gets 500, we go into the burn ban, that's the mode we're in, that's just automatic, but the timeframe of a week, sometimes 1 week falls 6 days short of, hey, when we need to put it, I would like to see a little bit more flexibility when we release the ban. Because we got in a situation here where we were getting, I don't know how many calls I was getting, but I was getting enough. You know, well, why aren't you releasing the ban? Why aren't you doing this? And then we saw that window of opportunity we needed to release. So I'd like some flexibility, but maybe working with the Fire Chiefs Association, before we release, we would notify and have a discussion at least. Sure. Instead of just an automatic 1 week. What I would never want to see is, well, 1 week is this coming Saturday, but well, we're not going to be here on Saturday, so can't we release it on Friday? I don't want to be so rigid we can't make a smart
And
move.
ultimately, that's a decision of the court and judge, you know, y'all can put it on and release it whenever you want, so.
Well, but we're at the mercy of the fire departments too, we know that, so I know we're stepping on each other's toes sometimes, but we don't mean to, by any means, so. Okay, what we're gonna do is, this is kind of in a negotiated document, we're gonna, if we approve to move into a burn ban, we're gonna be in a burn ban, then I'm gonna prepare a better order this afternoon to sign it, but I would like y'all's approval or disapproval. So do I hear a motion? I made a motion to move into the burn ban.
I'll second. Go second.
Is there a second? Who seconded? Wayne?
No, he's second.
He did, 1 second.
I'm going to be,
You beat me to it.
Okay. The judge made a motion, precinct 1 seconded the motion to move into a burn ban. Any other further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are back in a burn ban.
I think when you type it up, we need to have a list that they can still have open fire, you know,
I think
cooking.
that's what we want to do. We want to be very
Yeah.
specific of what you can and cannot do. We also want to create a document that doesn't have to be negotiated next time, and Naylene could quickly print it and put a date in it,
we
and
tried to get.
if I'm out of town and y'all want to go on a burn ban, there shouldn't be an issue. We should have a document that we
A
can
lot of
add.
people during the week listen to 92
So, all right,
in Shiner. We could turn it out right away to them and let them make a major announcement.
thank
Yeah,
you.
it's hard to get that, it's hard to push that information out to the public. It takes them a week to 2 weeks to even realize that we're back in a burn ban. And so it's difficult when it's on and it's off and it's on and it's off.
That was the thing, when we released it on Friday, we knew that we were going to have a problem because the paper didn't come out till Wednesday.
Right.
So no one's going to know about it.
And, you know, in today's world, everybody uses social media, but not everybody uses.
Not everybody, that's
social
what I'm
media.
saying.
Well,
I throw
again,
my phone down when I
social
walk in
me-
the house and I'm done with it for the night. I don't even look at it anymore.
Social media is a hot topic. Some constituents do not like social media, but hey, it's the easiest way to communicate and get the information out.
Right.
So we'll be talking about social media policy in the coming weeks, probably with our policy manual. I think the general idea is that if we put it on social media, we should have had it on our Facebook too. So you don't, you know, and getting in the habit of posting it on our website first and then going out and duplicating that is something to consider.
Or even your code red, I mean, if
Code red.
Morelli can, if we're back in a burn ban today,
Code red?
emergency management could do a code red to the whole county and let everybody know we're back under a burn ban.
I want to get in the habit we don't abuse the code red system because then you start to ignore it.
I think this would be good because, you know, right here, you're hardly ever going to use it for burn ban.
All right, we're back in the burn ban. Thank you very much for what y'all do.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay. Huh? Give me a break? All right, I've got a member of the court asking for a quick break. We got a few more agenda items to go through. I know we're going to go long on probably number 16. So I'm going to ask that the court go into recess. Let's recess for 10 minutes. We'll come back in here at 11. The time is now 11:12. Let's come back at 11:22.
Yes.
All right, so the court will be in recess till 11:22.
Get a drink, we're gonna go downstairs. Get rid of it.
I'm doing that.
All right, we're back in session. It's 11:22 a.m. We'll continue with our agenda items. We are now on agenda item number 11. Discuss and acknowledge future road closures for County Road 291, 376, 245. The letting date is scheduled for January 2023, January 2024. Correct that to January 2024. Construction will start on those roads 2 to 3 months after the letting date. The locations will be closed for approximately 6 months, and this is your bridge repairs, is that correct?
Basically, what this states is, we're gonna get off, precinct 2 and myself, gonna get 3 new bridges, and TxDOT is jumping on this because, we usually have to pay about 10% of the price of the bridge, and we do it in work. It's called an EMP, replace culverts or whatever. Well, they have lifted it now, it's all gonna be federally financed till 2026. So that's why they hurry up and rush this over.
All right. Well, the main thing I wanted on this agenda is, so we're giving advance notice to those residents that live on County Road 291, 376, or 245. You will have bridges out sometime in January 2024.
Yes.
And do we think the completion of those is going to be done in 2024?
6 months.
Well, I don't think so.
approximately.
I don't think so.
Approximately.
No.
And this was my concern when I read these emails coming through, that the TxDOT's giving me notice. I'm thinking of someone planning a wedding at their house and didn't know that, a bridge was going to be out or something.
The last bridge I had replaced was on County Road 370 at Rottenburg. Took approximately, it was less than, right at 2 months.
Okay.
That was from tear down to reconstruction.
All right.
Really?
Culvert or bridge?
They built a bridge in 2 months?
Less than 3.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, again, this was just for public notice to get it out there, so anyone living on those roads know that there's going to be some bridge outages in 2024.
Yeah, Judge, I move that we approve,
Acknowledgement.
sir, acknowledge, the fact that these roads are gonna be closed.
I'll
And
second that.
we'll have to work closely with TxDOT to be, to time this where, it won't be, it sets their,
Well, when it goes for letting, they tend to move pretty quick. And I know Precinct 4 myself,
okay.
the same company had to bid, and no sooner they were through with me, they were moving it was in the process of being moved again.
You'll have plenty notice.
Yeah, you will get
All
letting
right.
on.
Motion was made by Precinct 2, second by Precinct 3, to acknowledge the future road closures for County Roads 291, 376, and 245 for bridge repair or bridge construction. The letting date is scheduled for January 2024. Construction should start 2 to 3 months after that letting date. And the locations will be closed for approximately 6 months at a time for each location, and it may not be simultaneous. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Number 12, approve bond renewal for Nayleen Rupert, Administrative Assistant to the County Judge and Commissioners and Court Coordinator.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Precinct 4, second by Precinct 3. Any discussion?
Just one, that has, it's in the corollary to this. We might visit at some point the levels of the bond here, because not for Nayleen, but for all of us. I know when I was in, I had to be bonded as well when you took office, and so there's a threshold that would allow us to probably triple the amount of the bond for the same funding. I don't know if we want to do that, but it's an idea. We have a $3,000 bond. Usually the minimum issue on a bond, like surety bond like this, is $10,000. And I checked with LIPO, it's the same price. So we may want to address that, we may not want to. It's up to y'all. You want to keep it like it's always been, that's fine, but
Might be
there is that potential.
a policy procedure issue to bring up with our policy manual. If we want to start looking at the bond levels we have in place.
I'm not going to discuss this, this is not what the agenda item is about.
It's true.
I know, I said it's corollary.
All right, so I had a motion made by Precinct 4, second by Precinct 3, to approve the bond renewal for Nadine Rupert, Administrative Assistant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 13, discuss and approve request from the Elections Department to appoint a bilingual clerk for the November 7th, 2023 constitutional amendment election. And that's by law, we have to have one now. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by precinct 4, second by precinct 3, to approve the request from the Elections Department to appoint a bilingual clerk for the November 7th, 2023 constitutional amendment election. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 14, discuss and acknowledge the following changes to the Lavaca County Elections Department. There is no attachment to this, but I'm chairman of the Elections Commission. We want to acknowledge that the commission has accepted the resignation of the Lavaca County Elections Administrator. They have appointed Tina Hudson as the interim elections administrator, and they have appointed Brandy Stuckey as the interim elections chief deputy. So this is just to acknowledge that they have done that. And the Elections Commission consists of the county judge, the county clerk, Barbara Stefek, county treasurer, county tax assessor, Deborah Sefcik, and by law, at each of the primary elections, whoever the primary chairs were at the last election, they are by law on that commission. So we have Cheryl Thompson Draper, Republican Party chair, and we have Carol Brentsfield, the Democratic Party chair. Those were the two officers at the last election. So those 5 on Elections Commission, it makes up the commission. It makes the decision over the elections administrator. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the acknowledgement?
Yes.
Second.
Motion made by precinct 1, seconded by precinct 2 to acknowledge the following changes to the Lavaca County Elections Department. That was the resignation of the Lavaca County Elections Administrator, the appointment of Tina Hudson as the interim elections administrator, and the appointment of Brandy Stuckey as the interim elections chief deputy. Do any other further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. All right, next on item number 15, the Elections Commission does not control the salaries of the positions in the office. So I want to go backtrack. Elections Commission, everything that they voted on in public record was a 5-0 vote. And we had several motions that we made that day, but the last motion we made was to make a recommendation to the court, a 5-0 vote, and we brought this to the court's attention, to number 15, to discuss and approve the following budget amendments to the Lavaca County Elections Department. The vote consisted of moving the interim elections administrator salary to $42,000, the interim elections chief deputy salary to $38,000, and then to increase the temporary part-time fund from $12,000 to $54,850. And that basically, large increase is to make up for, we're missing a third person in there. So the commission basically left it to, if the interim elections administrator needs to hire someone, they can pull funding out of that part-time line if they need to hire someone. So, but we need court approval for those, to move to those salary levels. Do I hear a motion?
I so move that we approve the following budget amendments to the County Elections Department.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1, to approve the following budget amendments to the Lavaca County Elections Department, which was moving the interim elections administrator to a salary of $42,000, moving the interim elections chief deputy to a salary of $38,000, and then increasing the temporary / part-time fund from $12,000 to $54,850. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Number 16, presentation and discussion with possible action with Doucette and Associates regarding Lavaca County subdivision regulations update. I know we have three engineers from Doucette. They want to come forward.
Thank y'all for your patience.
Yes.
Certainly, no, I've enjoyed watching courts. I've been going to commissioners' courts since I was 8 years old. My dad got elected county judge, and it's interesting that all counties are different, but they're all kind of the same.
Completely.
Well, Judge, thank y'all for allowing us to be here.
Would you state your names that way for us? So we...
Yeah, my name is Bill Burnett with Doucette and Associates. I have Tracy Bratton, Ed Terrio with us. Ed runs our planning department, and Tracy is the head of our engineering office. we're a full-service civil engineering firm, but we represent a number of counties and cities. And one of the aspects of what we do is help them with development code, subdivision rule rewrites. And we've been having some discussions with y'all since the South Texas Judges and Commissioners Conference, and the need for potential updates to your...
I'm having a little hard time. You may have to speak up a little bit because we have an air conditioner runs right.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. We're talking about potential need for subdivision rule rewrite updates with your current county rules. And as the sheriff and the auditor talked about, you're experiencing growth and you're trying to plan for the future and future generations. There are a number of things you can and can't do in subdivision rule ordinances. And as you know, under Chapter 232 of the Local Government Code, that gives you the authority to adopt subdivision rules and ordinances. But the thing that I will say, and then hand this off to the actual engineers, is these rules and what you want to accomplish are really yours. You know your precincts better than anyone. You understand the growth pressures and what's happening in your county. These rules and updates to them, potential updates to them, really something that starts with you and what you want to accomplish. What are the problems you're seeing in your precinct? How can you remedy them? And have a set of subdivision rules that allows growth, but growth with grace is what you want to have in your county. So I'm going to let Tracy Bratton kind of talk about some of the things you could be looking at within a subdivision rule rewrite, and Ed can kind of talk about the process of where we go from today and how you get to a set of subdivision rules, bringing in stakeholders from throughout the county along with yourselves, and put together a set of rules that reflects what you want to have.
And I'll let Tracy.
I might suggest we actually flip that a little bit. Let's talk about process first. Sure.
Hello. I'm Ed Terrio. As Bill said, I'm a planner with Doucette and Associates, but I also am a county commissioner and have been for the last 7 years in Caldwell County. And so I'm very familiar with many of the issues that you deal with, kind of the concerns that county commissioners have regarding making sure their regulations are up to date and fair for new development coming in, while also providing protections and good infrastructure for your existing residents. What I mostly focus on when it comes to county development type ordinances is the process involved in those. Wanting to make sure that there's a solid process built into your codes to provide for early notice to the commissioner whose precinct the development is occurring in. In most of our counties where we work, we provide for pre-development meetings where the county commissioner for that precinct is invited as that developer is coming in to first start talking about their development. And a lot of things get worked out very early on, and prevents or reduces the number of times that you get surprised by something, at a meeting or when you're questioned by a constituent. So that's something that's important to me, and then I understand as a commissioner, so I look forward to possibly the opportunity to work with you guys on that aspect of it.
Okay, so I'm Tracy Bratton. I'm the one that's the actual engineer, planner, recovering county commissioner. Defame these guys calling them engineers.
So you're the engineer?
Yeah, I'm the engineer.
Okay.
I'm the one that sometimes, speaks in numbers instead of sentences.
I noticed that they let you speak last, so I'm just...
Oh, right. Yeah. I'll kind of reiterate somewhat Ed said. Well, first a little about me. I've been working in the arena of land development and engineering projects in and around Texas, from Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, South Texas, for almost 30 years now. So I have experience all over the place, and specifically it helped Hays County, Bastrop County amend their subdivision ordinances. Then in late 2011 got the opportunity to assist Caldwell County with a complete rewrite of all of their development rules. And we started off in 2012 being the county engineer for Caldwell County, and a big subdivision was 12 lots, all off of an existing county road, no infrastructure. Caldwell County in the 2020 census had a population of about 42,000 people. From 2019, so these people weren't recorded in the census yet, from 2019 through now, we've put something in the neighborhood of 18,000 lots on preliminary plat and development agreement. So that's going to more than double the population in the county. That's only what's happening in the county. That doesn't count what's happening in the city limits of Lockhart and Luling and Mustang Ridge and Ulen. So a tremendous amount of growth, and we've seen it change quite a bit. And over those 12 years, we've made some minor tweaks to the ordinances in Caldwell County, but nothing wholesale. They've really grown with the county quite well. One of the things, to reiterate what Ed was saying about the pre-application meetings, that's very helpful to the commissioners and how we have those set up, and something we would definitely be recommending really to anyone. Those meetings are held at a specific date, and you have all the relevant staff there, whether you have an in-house engineer, consulting engineer, if you have a sanitation officers in charge of permitting septics, floodplain administrator, all those people are there, and so they get to hear it. And now you, as the commissioner or commissioner's court, are not put on the spot being the expert in road design, drainage design, septic design, Texas law as it relates to platting. Everyone gets to hear the same thing at the same time, and it can really be helpful for you as commissioners. I'm sure you get stopped at the local grocery store, local barbecue place, and ask questions and kind of put in the spot. It provides an opportunity to say, no, let's talk about that where we have everybody there, and then everybody can hear the same thing. A few things, in terms of process. Want to make sure that rules have good road standards in place, because that protects the county from maintenance costs long term that can be a burden on taxpayers. Drainage criteria are often something that's overlooked, and it has a huge cost to the county, both in flood damage prevention, if drainage is overlooked and not taken care of during review and planning stages. As well, poor drainage makes for bad neighbors. And I'm sure you've probably all encountered people calling it as they did this over here, and so now I'm facing this consequence. Those are all things we look at in during review. But in terms of the process for developing rules and looking at rules, we definitely want to meet with the commissioners and with stakeholders to find out what the local issues are. I'm not here to say I know everything about Lavaca County. We do know quite a bit about development and about how to make good rules, but we want to make sure that anything is tailored to meet the local needs and what the local concerns are.
I just want to publicly say this, we put our subdivision plans, we started the process in 2020. We had a lot of, I call it political turmoil, but political change in the courthouse. I think I started in 2020, Mark Myers finished in 2021. We went very fast through the process because by law we had to have it in place. We knew that, and we worked with attorneys to get that done. But we didn't talk to engineers. And so all these conferences we go to, that we have to go to for training, they happen for a reason. And we get to meet people like you that can open our eyes to, hey, you need to look at this, this, and that. And we didn't know anything about this, this, or that. So we're glad you're here.
Thank you. One of the things I do get to do, we do private work as well, not just government sector stuff. So one of the things I get to do is play both sides of the rules, look for holes. And it's one thing that I think we do pretty well is understand, how to foster good, productive, healthy growth and keep loopholes from happening. It allows less scrupulous developers and individuals to find ways to do things around the rules. And that's part of the game. You're playing both sides of the chess table sometimes and go, okay, if I were to try and get around this rule, what would I do? And then make sure we have something written tight. Again, not for the purpose of thwarting anybody. It's to make sure that development is healthy, sustainable, and respects the neighbors and the rest of the county.
One thing I would like to see done is we had 4 subdivision exemptions today, if we could come up with a 1 or 2 page, if, between family, friends, or you sell me 20 acres of your 80-acre place where we do not have to run it through court.
We were sitting over there thinking about that, and I don't have the complete backup packet to see exactly what was going on, but in Caldwell County, we do exemptions, and we have possibly more detail written as to what is an exemption, and those are staff-driven, so it's done at the staff level. It doesn't come to Commissioners Court unless it doesn't follow the written exemptions exactly. And then we do refer some to Commissioners Court where it's like, this is not written out, this is a policy decision, so it's not that they wouldn't ever happen again, but I was really curious as I was seeing those items, like it seems like it's taken up a lot of court time.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and almost every one of those exemptions today were covered under the Elgin Bank ruling, where you got public access and it's over a 10-acre lot that could be handled administratively.
Right.
But just, I don't even know if you wouldn't bring it to Commissioners Court.
And that's something, I mean, we're new at this as far as, we just put our regulations in, and the title companies are new, and we had some issues early on that, well, the title companies, it wasn't clear to them, so they want the judge to sign off on this. So, well, you know, I normally do not sign a document like that unless we go through court, so that's how we kind of started this, but we want some guidelines going forward, but, you know, we're used to, when people come to the podium, we're ready to ask you questions, how do we do it? And I know we don't have a relationship established with y'all yet, other than informal. How do you see this working? How do you see your involvement with us to help us make a better policy procedure?
Yeah, so what I think we'd ask is the court to authorize the judge to negotiate a contract with the scope of work with us. What I'd like to see happen is for us to meet with each of the commissioners independently, as well as any stakeholders that they feel are important. Sometimes that can be big landowners, that can be, you know, affected businesses, and to kind of get a sense of what the current issues are. I did breeze through before we met a couple months ago. I did kind of breeze through your ordinances then. I didn't take a real detailed read, but I can do that before meeting with the commissioners to have some kind of initial thoughts. Usually then, after gathering input from stakeholders, usually it's followed then by a workshop session in court like this, where there's opportunity for people to come up, because sometimes residents bring up issues they're concerned about, and you see a pulling in both directions. There's always inevitably going to be somebody come up saying, hey, why can't you do something to stop this and this that happened next to me? And sometimes we can, sometimes we have to say state law doesn't allow us to regulate that. So, and you also have people come up and say, I'm worried that you're going to make me get a permit to build a barn on my property, and we get to assure them we absolutely don't want to be in the business of issuing permits to build barns on rural property. So you get that kind of input. And then we draft, you know, what in your case would probably be a red line revision to the ordinances. Then the last part of the process, and required by state law, is called a takings impact assessment, and that's a document that has to be put together that basically spells out where the court gets the authority for each part of the rule. And if it's not covered in public health and safety, you have to make a reasonable determination that it's not a taking of people's private property rights. And that's a document that can be initially drafted by us or by an attorney. It definitely needs to be reviewed by a development attorney before it's finalized, and before new rules can be adopted, that document has to be published for at least 30 days. So you make notice of it at the courthouse and have it available at a couple places around the county. Usually you'll go and find like a library here, Schulenburg or neighboring city, to make it available. Then after that's been available for 30 days, then you can adopt the finalized rules. So, all in all, on the fast side, you're probably talking about a 90-day process. We are in October with the inefficiency of Thanksgiving and December and Christmas and New Year's coming up, so more like a 4-month process from beginning to end.
Look, I know this court has been talking for the last 10 months, addressing this in the fall, winter. I mean, this is the time period coming in when it's a little bit lighter workloads for us in the courtroom. So we would like to, I think, move forward. That's what I'm
I'd
hoping.
like to move forward with it.
Okay.
Will county need to issue an RFP in order to?
Depends on what their proposal is to us and how much that they're proposing to spend. I mean, we have to,
Some of that, and if we could,
RFP doesn't necessarily go by cost, it goes by the different criteria in hiring. Now, we're going through the RFP process.
yeah, with professional services, it's usually an RFQ, a request for qualifications, because in selecting engineers, you actually can't, engineers, lawyers, a few other professional services, you can't consider cost and selection has to be most qualified. I think typically a process like this is, in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. Again, it depends a lot on how much involvement you want, particularly in public involvement, because if you start doing, I would recommend you have some public involvement in the process. That can be a workshop session in court like this. It can be going around to, an evening session in each precinct around the county. Obviously, that changes cost quite a bit. So that's the kind of thing we could sit down and work with you, Judge, on what makes sense proportionally for your needs.
I think the central location here is great. I know that, I think some of our cities are aware that we're doing this as well, and they're interested in what we're doing, so we want to invite our city partners with us. We've got some local engineering firm that's maybe not subject matter experts like you guys are, but they want to have some input. Our title companies want to have some input.
Yeah.
So we want to know now this second round of going after this, how do we control the process so it's fair and open and transparent, all these things, but yet we accomplish what the court needs to accomplish is we need to be prepared for the next phases that's going to hit our county.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that again is part of the process of meeting with y'all, identifying who all needs to be at the table.
yeah.
And who are the people that will be affected by subdivision rules and get their input. And as far as
So you're saying we have to
the
go-
RFQ, kind of depends on do you have an adopted purchasing policy?
Yes, we do have an adopted purchasing policy.
So does the court the court sometimes have the authority to do something underneath a certain dollar amount?
Yeah, the court can do whatever they want. I'm just bringing up the RFQ process. You don't have to do it.
I mean, if we contract with it for under 50,000, we're under 50,000. So,
And it's not necessarily a cost thing, like I said, it's a qualification thing. And do you want to just go with one firm that you just met, or do you want to get, different firms to?
that was a little disrespectful. We didn't just meet these people, they've been part of,
That's not disrespectful, I'm
No,
just saying.
I think if we have a workshop, we'll get everybody involved.
I'm not saying that they are not qualified, I'm just saying you do a RFQ, request for qualifications. And you get different firms to give a qualification thing so you can decide which ones you want to go with. That's up to you all.
what says the court? What says the court?
I said we go forward.
Actually, what you're almost saying is going out for bids.
It's
And
It's
qualifications.
not necessarily a bid, it's an RFQ, request for qualifications.
Okay. That would mean that it would be a public submission in terms of advertising that? Okay. And we have the necessary documents to be completed by someone who would be interested
Yes.
for that process? Okay.
Basically, are we looking at the plan that we have right now? They can review it and upgrade it and make changes. It's basically what we're kind of looking at.
That's what we're looking at doing, but the question is, we have not hired them.
True. What I'm saying, that's what we're
Well,
trying to accomplish.
why don't we appoint the judge as the go-between, between us and them, and come up with something?
I think that would work.
That's what,
Didn't you mention that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We have a plan already, just to work with
I didn't quite hear all that.
Did you hear that? And this is for you to hear. We have some discrepancies, so we can go with RFQ process, we can go with allowing me to entertain, see what this is gonna cost us to have their independent opinion of this. And then come back to the court to, here's how much it's gonna cost us for a review or for the,
Judge, I think procedurally, it would probably be in the best interest of the court to, and this is my opinion, in the best interest of the court to go out with an RFQ and then have people come back. I know it's going to delay the process, gentlemen, but I'm sure you're familiar with and understand how that works. And then we can make a decision based upon the submissions that we receive, and that will be open and available for us to review. So I would make that recommendation, but
okay. Wayne has made a recommendation to go out for RFQ on the process. Do I hear a second? Or do we want to? Like I said, engineers are used to delays. Or the people driving down the roads are. Anyway, I'm open to suggestions. Like I said, it's in the best interest of taxpayers that we have the best representation for us to look at, and the most affordable as well. Best and the most affordable to look at our subdivision regulations.
One of the reasons, Judge, that most purchasing policies have a threshold of which you can procure services without going through an RFQ is RFQ does have a substantial cost associated with preparing.
I get it.
And that's a cost that ultimately ends up borne by the people who prepare it. You're not allowed to recoup that cost. That's the way the law works. But you know that ends up getting recouped somehow. It's in the rates at the end. So
The way I see it is, we do have some discretion to go after services for individual, whether it's attorneys, we go after attorneys from time to time, and we're not going after RFQs. We have recommendations, we go on, and we pay for services. So knowing that these guys have presented at TAC, they've been some of our conferences, they have a Caldwell commissioner that's right adjoining Gonzales County, and
I've been kind of breezing over Caldwell County's guidelines. I like it.
so, and then they're just a matter of opinions. They're just, we're asking for expert opinions, so. But that's up to you. I heard a motion.
Okay. Trying to think how to say this. Could we go ahead with you representing the county to deal with these guys, to kind of put together, let them look at our subdivision guidelines before we go any further?
Well, I think that with the way I understand our conversation today was we can come back to kind of discuss that and come up with a plan and a proposal from them, and then I'll have the court approve that proposal or not approve it, or ask questions, or y'all may decide after they submit their proposal that it's too costly to go at this, we want to go after something else. So that's, if y'all give me that authority, then we can come back to court with that decision. But right now, we do have, Wayne has a motion made on the floor for an RFQ for the process. So do I hear a second on that, or do we want to go do a different route? So do I hear a second? I don't hear a second on the RFQ. So do I have another motion to let the judge entertain a contract of some sort?
I make a motion to let the judge entertain a contract between Duche to see what the cost would be to revamp our existing subdivision guidelines.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made by precinct 3, second by precinct 1, to allow the judge to interact with Doucette and Associates regarding a contract, possible contract for them to help us review our Lavaca County subdivision regulations. Satisfactory? Stand up, that way. Is there any other, is there any other discussion? Comments? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much. Be back in touch soon.
All right. Number 17, discuss and approve with possible action the following related to the Crossroads Regional Public Defender Office.
This is where we're cutting right like normal, isn't it?
This is cut and dry. This is basic, well, this is not really cut and dry. This is a new, this is our Crossroads Regional Public Defender Office, newly created in Victoria. This is our first draft of policies, procedures to move forward. They're asking, we met with the judges on a conference call. They're asking to approve this today and tomorrow because some judges have court tomorrow. This is our original draft. It can always be amended.
It's Victoria, Lavaca, Jackson, and Refugio?
Correct. Victoria, Lavaca, Jackson, and Refugio. We have the grant already. Now we're putting policies, procedures. How are we going to implement it? So this motion is going to read like this. Discuss and approve the possible action with the following related to the Crossroads Regional Public Defender Office, and you have that written paper packages here. It's the interlocal agreement between Victoria, Lavaca, Jackson, and Refugio counties, the Oversight Board and Development Plan, and Crossroads Regional Public Defender Office written plan. So we're asking for approval on that, and then with the, knowing that it can always be amended. So I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by precinct 4, second by precinct 3. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. One other thing. They also asked that they, we're going to, at this point, nominate, on the oversight board, we have to nominate somebody to serve on the board. They're asking right now that we let the judges stay on the board while we're developing the plan, and then at some point we may have to do something different. So I would ask y'all to nominate,
I'll make a motion to nominate Keith Mudd to sit on the Oversight Board of Development.
okay?
Second.
Third.
Motion made by precinct 3, second by precinct 4 to nominate Judge Keith Mudd to serve on the oversight board of the Crossroads Regional Public Defender Office. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we are now in consent agenda. Our microphones will go off until we are through signing paperwork.
Make a motion.
Oh, I make it. Who make the motion? Sorry. Who made the motion? Consent. Consent. Is there any other business of the court? Is there any other business of the court? If not, a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Third.
All right. Motion made by precinct 4, second by precinct 3 to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.